Beloved chosen one, listen carefully. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you because this message is not for everyone. It's for you. Yes, you, the one who has felt the weight of the world without anyone truly seeing you. You've been crying in silence, fighting battles no one understands, and asking God if He still sees you. This moment is your divine confirmation. He does. This isn't just a video, it's a divine appointment. This isn't your phone randomly serving you content. It's heaven breaking through your timeline. You didn't stumble across this. The Spirit of God orchestrated your steps to arrive right here, right now, because there's a word tailor-fit for your weary soul. God is guiding your breakthrough. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not common. You are chosen. This very moment is what the enemy tried to distract you from. Every confusion, every delay, every detour, it was designed to keep you from hearing this truth. You are a chosen vessel, and divine intervention is already in motion. You've been asking why the warfare has intensified, why the pain keeps recurring, why your soul feels tired. It's because you're not in a season of breakdown, you're standing in the prelude of a breakthrough. There is a crown hanging over your life, and the enemy sees it even when you don't. But now, the fog is lifting. Now, your ears are opening. Now, the heavens are speaking directly to your spirit. You were born for such a time as this. You were never meant to blend in. Your difference is your divine evidence. You were not made to follow the crowd. You were made to lead movements. There is something in you that is uncontainable. Something in you that triggers opposition because of how powerful it is. Let me say it plainly. The warfare has been proof of your anointing. If you weren't carrying something holy, hell wouldn't be trying so hard to break you. But it cannot succeed. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. None. Even the weapons forged in secret places. Even the ones formed by familiar faces. Even the ones that attacked your mind in the middle of the night. None of them will work. Heaven is now intervening. Right here. Right now. As we read in Isaiah 54, should see, no weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. Chosen one, the spiritual realm is real, and it's moving on your behalf. Angels are on assignment. The chains you couldn't break are cracking. The doors that refuse to open are trembling. The silence you mistook for abandonment was actually the breath before a holy roar. You are not being punished, you're being prepared. God has not just heard your prayers. He's been answering them in layers. And this moment is one of those layers being pulled back. Everything about you has purpose. Even your tears. Even your scars. Even the detours. There's not one wasted moment in your life story. What seemed like rejection was divine protection. What looked like delay was heaven's version of timing. He is guiding your breakthrough. Not just a breakthrough in your finances, or your career, or your relationships, but a breakthrough in your spirit. This is deeper than goals. This is about your God-given identity. You are being pulled into remembrance. You are not an echo. You are a voice, and your voice was anointed to break yokes. So hear me with your spirit. Don't walk away from this moment. Don't scroll past. Don't go numb again. This is a holy interruption. You've walked through fire, and somehow you're still standing. Why? Because you were preserved for impact. There are mantles waiting for your obedience. There are territories waiting for your voice. There are souls waiting for your obedience to activate their freedom. You're not just chosen for you, you're chosen for generations. This is why the enemy tried so hard to crush you early. He wanted to abort what God intended to deliver through your life. But he failed. You're still breathing. You're still standing. And now you're awakening. The heavens are thundering with praise. Angel voices are singing holy songs over you. Can you feel the shift? Can you sense the atmosphere bending around you? That's divine alignment. You've just stepped into the presence of the Eternal Holy One. You've just stepped into prophetic clarity. So now, beloved chosen one, stand up on the inside. Wipe your tears. Lift your head. You are not weak. You are not behind. You are not unworthy. You are God's chosen one, called, marked, positioned. Type 777 in the comments right now if your spirit says yes. This is not for everyone. But if this word pierced you, then that number is your response. It's your signal to heaven that you hear, that you receive, that you are stepping into your breakthrough. Don't keep this to yourself. Someone else's spirit is starving for what you just heard. Like, share, and subscribe to stay aligned with this flow of divine release. The Holy Spirit is not done speaking to you. This is only the beginning. Chosen one. You need to know something. Now your life has never been random. Every tear, every loss, every door that closed in your face was seen by heaven. You are marked, not mistaken. You've cried, God, why me? And the answer has been echoing from eternity. Because I chose you. You've spent too long thinking you were cursed because things didn't work out like they did for others. But the truth is this, you were never supposed to be like them. You were designed differently because your assignment is different. What looks like rejection to men is often God's redirection to purpose. You weren't cast aside. You were carved out. You are not the product of people's opinions. You are the result of God's intention. He handpicked you when others weren't even looking your way. And the reason people didn't recognize your value, it's because heaven kept it hidden. He didn't want your oil to be contaminated by premature exposure. You were marked from the womb. The enemy noticed it before you could walk. That's why the warfare started early, because what you carry is rare. And rare oil demands rare processing. Look back. Remember those places where you were overlooked, misunderstood, even betrayed. Those moments weren't punishments. They were proof that you don't belong in places that can't discern your anointing. God removed you, not to punish you, but to preserve you. Paul reminds us in Ephesians 2, "Sure, for we are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Chosen one. You didn't miss your moment. You were being molded for it. You weren't ready then because your calling was bigger than your maturity. But now, you're waking up. Now, your eyes are opening. Now, you're seeing through the lens of destiny, not disappointment. The pain didn't disqualify you. It verified you. The betrayal didn't break you. It birthed you. You're not a mistake. You're a move of God. God's favor doesn't always feel like favor. Sometimes it feels like isolation, wilderness, waiting. But that's only because favor often works in silence. While others were shining publicly, you were being sharpened privately. And what he was doing in secret is about to be shouted from the rooftops. The ones who walked away had to go. The opportunities that slipped through your fingers weren't yours to begin with. What God has planned for you, no man can block. What's marked with your name is still reserved for your obedience. You don't have to chase it. Just stay in alignment. And here's what hell didn't expect: that you'd still be standing, that you'd still be here, heart beating, eyes watching, a spirit listening. You were supposed to give up. You were supposed to crumble under the weight. But something in you deeper than willpower held you together. That something is your mark. It's the evidence of divine handprints on your life. It's what makes you weep when no one's watching. It's what keeps you from settling into mediocrity even when you're tired. That unshakable ache you feel, that's your spirit refusing to accept a life that contradicts what God showed you. You've always felt different. Not better, just different. And now you know why. Because you are not part of the crowd. You are a remnant. You are one of the ones heaven planted for such a time as this. God is not confused about you. He knows what He put in you. Even if people walked away, even if they misunderstood your intentions, even if they labeled you based on your past, God's label over your life has not changed, and it never will. You were born to carry something sacred. You were born to walk through places others avoid. You were born to speak truth when silence is safer. And that's exactly why God has preserved you. The fire didn't burn you. The floods didn't drown you. The pit didn't bury you. Why? Because your story is not finished. Your assignment is still alive. As we read in Isaiah 43, when you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. The mark on your life is permanent. Not even your own doubt can erase it. Not even your worst choices can undo it. The mercy of God isn't fragile, it's fierce. It chases, it restores, it resurrects what we thought was lost. So, stop disqualifying yourself. Stop replaying your failures. Stop comparing your pace. Heaven is not in a hurry, but it is intentional. And right now, heaven is breathing over your purpose again. This isn't about hype. This is about truth. The truth is that you are God's chosen one, not by chance, not by default, by divine decree. You are not mistaken. You are marked, God's chosen one. Your struggle was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to shape you. Every storm you've survived, every night you cried yourself to sleep, every moment you felt abandoned, it was all part of the process. You didn't just go through it. You were forged by it. Heaven allowed what it could have prevented. Why? Because you are not being prepared for something small. You're being prepared to carry kingdom weight. Destiny has a cost, and you've been paying it with silent obedience, endurance, and unwavering faith. When no one was watching, the things that broke others only built you. That should tell you something about what's inside of you. God has been setting you up, not for temporary success, but for permanent impact. The setup didn't look like a miracle. It looked like loss. It looked like betrayal. It looked like starting over again and again. But behind the scenes, heaven was scripting your rise. What looked like failure to you was favor in disguise. David was overlooked by his own father, but God saw a king. Joseph was thrown into a pit by his brothers, but God saw a ruler. You've been counted out by man, but chosen by God. And just like them, your struggle was the soil where your anointing took root. There are dimensions of authority you can only walk in because of what you've endured. You didn't just read about the fire, you walked through it. You didn't just hear sermons about healing, you needed it. That's why your voice will carry power. That's why your presence will bring breakthrough. No one who walks in true authority got there through ease. You have scars. Yes, but they're sacred. They are reminders that grace is real, and that God finishes what he starts. The enemy thought the trauma would silence you, but instead, it gave you a testimony. Romans 8:28 declares, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Yes, chosen one, all things. The heartbreak, the confusion, the delay, it's all being used. There's not one broken piece of your life that God will not repurpose. The very places where you bled are the places God will breathe through. And don't think for a moment that God has forgotten the years you sowed in tears, every seed of faith, every act of kindness when no one repaid you, every decision to stay obedient when it hurt. He saw it. He remembers. And the time for reaping is approaching. There's a divine reason why the enemy hit you so hard. He saw something in you. He saw the oil. He saw the fire. He saw the authority you'd walk in if you ever healed, if you ever woke up, if you ever realized who you really are. And now you're beginning to see it too. You're starting to feel your spine straighten. Your tears are drying. Your hands are opening again to receive. You are not who you were, even 6 months ago. There's a new roar rising in you. Let it rise. Because this is the hour when what was hidden is being revealed. God is vindicating you, not through revenge, through revival. You're going to walk back into rooms that once rejected you different. Not bitter, not smaller, but crowned with fire. This is your comeback season, but not for the applause of people, for the glory of God, for the sake of those waiting for your voice, for the calling too heavy to carry alone. You are being reintroduced, not as the one who almost broke, but as the one who could not be broken. 2 Corinthians 4:8-9 reminds us, we are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. Every battle confirmed your calling. Every delay secured your development. Every loss made room for legacy. So now, stand in it. Don't shrink. Don't explain away your strength. Don't hide your fire to make others comfortable. You've paid the price to burn like this. Now let it consume every lie that said you weren't enough. You are enough. You are ready. You are God's strategy in the earth. Comment, I survived this. Let that be your declaration that you've endured what was meant to destroy you, and you're still standing. This isn't just about surviving, it's about realizing that every bruise built something sacred inside you. You didn't break. You became. And now, what once tried to silence you will witness your rise. Chosen one. It wasn't abandonment. It was preservation. The seasons where you felt unseen, unheard, and misunderstood were never signs of God forgetting you. They were divine shields. You were hidden for a holy reason. Because what you carry is too weighty to be exposed too early. God does not waste visibility on the unprepared. He hides what's holy. He conceals what carries oil. He wraps his precious ones in silence until they are ready not just to speak, but to withstand the weight of being heard. And that's why you felt invisible while others were being promoted. It wasn't punishment. It was process. David was anointed long before he was ever crowned. Joseph was given dreams long before the palace ever opened. Jesus himself lived 30 quiet years before 3 years of ministry turned the world upside down. So why are you surprised that God took time to prepare you in the dark? You have not been overlooked. You've been protected. There were relationships that never happened, not because you weren't lovable, but because they couldn't handle the glory you carry. There were jobs that rejected you not because you weren't qualified, but because God didn't want you distracted by comfort. There were stages you never stood on, not because you weren't gifted, but because your roots weren't deep enough yet. God hides his warriors in plain sight. He lets them walk through silence, not to harm them, but to harden them. The wilderness is not a curse. It's a forge. And in that forge, God has been refining your discernment, your voice, your vision. Heaven knows that what's revealed too early gets devoured too quickly. You've seen it before. Those who rushed into visibility without foundation were broken by the very platform they begged for. But you've been forged in the fires of obscurity, made strong in silence, faithful in the shadows. Proverbs 25:2 says, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter. To search out a matter is the glory of kings." You've been in a divine concealment season. And while the world forgot your name, heaven was engraving it on gates that matter. You weren't being passed over, you were being passed through fire. If you had been exposed too early, you would have compromised your calling just to be accepted. You would have traded oil for attention. You would have dimmed your light to keep shallow people comfortable. But God loves you too much to let that happen. So he hid you. He allowed silence to surround you, not to break you, but to baptize you in clarity. The kind of clarity that doesn't crave applause. The kind of clarity that isn't moved by trends. The kind of clarity that knows who you are when no one is watching. This silence has taught you how to hear heaven's whisper. This hiding has trained your spirit to trust God when there's no external validation. This isolation has been your altar, where identity is being carved in stone, not sand. And now, the curtain is trembling. The same God who hid you is about to reveal you, not in arrogance, not in noise, but in fire. When he opens the door, no man can shut it. When he lifts the veil, no one can put it back. When God says it's time, everything accelerates. But don't rush him. The pressure you feel right now is not a signal to push your way forward. It's a signal to prepare. Because when God reveals what's been hidden, it's not to entertain, it's to establish. And what is established by God cannot be uprooted by man. That's why this foundation has taken so long to build. Because this next reveal won't just change a chapter, it will change everything. Your relationships, your influence, your impact. It will all align under one thing: God's timing. 1 Peter 5:6 says, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. And when he lifts you, you won't have to perform to stay lifted. You'll stand steady, because your elevation won't be built on hype, it will be built on him. So rest, chosen one, not in complacency, but in confidence. The delay was divine, the hiddenness was holy, and the stage being built for your reveal is not made of wood and lights, but of obedience, humility, and heaven's weight. You were hidden to be revealed, and when the veil lifts, glory will follow. Chosen one. The warfare around your life is not a sign of weakness. It is evidence of calling. It is the loud confirmation that hell has recognized what heaven has already written about you. You may not always feel powerful, but your presence alone is a threat to darkness. That's why the attacks haven't stopped, because your existence is resistance. Don't be fooled by the enemy's tactics. The discouragement you've been feeling isn't proof that you're losing. It's proof that the enemy is desperate. He throws confusion at you when clarity is near. He stirs conflict around you when breakthrough is close. He tries to wear you down because he cannot take you out. You've noticed the pattern. Every time you get close to progress, a sudden distraction appears. Every time your spirit stirs with purpose, fear whispers louder. But you need to understand this. The pressure has increased because you're near something sacred. And this time, God will not let it be delayed again. The opposition confirms the anointing. You are dangerous to the darkness because you carry heaven's DNA. You've been marked since the beginning, not just to survive the war, but to win it. You don't walk into battle hoping to make it, you walk in because you're already victorious. Psalm 18:39 says, "You armed me with strength for battle. You humbled my adversaries before me." This is not a random trial. It's a targeted attack on a targeted vessel. And if hell has targeted you, then it means heaven has trusted you. God does not place fire on empty altars. If the battle has increased, it's because your assignment just advanced. But there's something else you must know. Your obedience in this hour is not just about you. It's about everyone connected to your breakthrough. There are people whose freedom is tied to your yes. There are territories that will never shift until your feet touch them. There are atmospheres that won't break open until your voice declares truth. The enemy fears your movement because he knows what your movement ignites. You're not just fighting for your own peace. You're fighting for generations, for legacies, for the redemption of everything the enemy tried to steal from your bloodline. And you're not alone in this fight. Heaven fights with you. So do not shrink back. Do not second-guess yourself in this season. The fear is loud. Yes, but your authority is louder. Every tear you've cried has watered the ground for victory. Every sleepless night has pressed you deeper into purpose. You have not wasted one moment of this journey. Isaiah 59:19 says, "When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him." The standard is already rising. That flood of anxiety, depression, and resistance is about to meet heaven's wall of fire. The angels assigned to you are not idle. The grace covering you is not fragile. And the mantle resting on you is not a mistake. Chosen one. It's time you walk like you're armed. It's time you pray like you know what's coming. It's time you worship not for victory, but from it. This battle isn't evidence of your failure, it's the announcement of your emergence. So many have been watching you, quietly, from a distance. They see your strength. They see how you carry weight others would collapse under. They wonder how you keep going when it would make sense to quit. And even though they may never say it aloud, they know something's different about you. That difference is divine. You were made for this fight. Not because you're better, but because you're bolder. Because you trust deeper. Because your heart is wired for heaven's rhythm. That's why when others settled, you couldn't. That's why when others were satisfied with survival, you longed for transformation. And now, that longing is about to birth legacy. As you stand on the front lines of this invisible war, know this: your name is known in heaven. Your footsteps are tracked by angels. Your prayers echo louder than the doubts in your head. You are covered. You are held. And no weapon, even those formed in secret, shall prevail. This message carries weight. If your spirit bears witness, if something inside you is stirring with fire, then don't let this word end with you. There are others in the same battle who need to hear that they're not alone. You can be the reason someone else doesn't give up today. If this word has spoken to your spirit, take a moment to like and share it. It's not just engagement, it's evangelism. It's digital obedience. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss what heaven continues to release in this space. Many of you have asked how to go deeper, how to sow into this message, how to keep this prophetic flow alive. If you feel led, consider supporting this space through giving, not out of pressure but out of alignment. When you pour into what feeds you, the oil flows both ways. But above all, stand. Let this be your stance in this war. Unwavering, unshaken, unmovable. Because though the battle has raged, the victory is not in question. You are not surviving the storm. You are commanding it. Chosen one, this is not your final stop. You may feel tired. You may feel like resting right here and calling it enough. But I must tell you this, don't settle here. This is not your finish line. It's a temporary place of pause, not your permanent resting ground. The enemy wants to trick you into building where you were only supposed to pass through. What's in front of you is greater than what's behind you. But it requires faith to move forward when fear says, stay. It requires vision to walk when you can't yet see what's ahead. And it requires obedience to trust God when everything around you is screaming, comfort. This moment is a crossroads. You can either embrace what feels safe, or you can step into the unknown, fully surrendered, fully alive. In Exodus 7:7, the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on." There are times when prayer must be matched with movement. Times when heaven waits on you to take the first step, not because God needs you to act, but because movement is your proof of faith. Staying stuck in cycles of delay and indecision doesn't honor God. It postpones destiny. Yes, the road has been hard. Yes, the wilderness was dry. Yes, the waiting wore on your spirit. But the door is opening now. And if you hesitate too long, you risk missing the shift. The enemy knows he can't steal your calling, so he tries to tempt you to settle short of it, to camp out in compromise, to build altars in the land of almost. But almost is not your inheritance. Almost is not your covenant. God has not called you to a halfway promise. There's more, and you know it. You've seen it in your dreams. You've felt it in your gut. You've heard it in the quiet hours, something telling you, this isn't all there is. That inner pull, that's your spirit refusing to blend in. It's the anointing crying out for completion. Do not betray your future just to please your fear. This season has tested your endurance, but the next one will test your obedience. Can you move without all the answers? Can you obey without full confirmation? Can you surrender without delay? There's something waiting for you on the other side of your yes. A version of you that is healed, whole, fearless. A version of you that looks nothing like the one who broke down last year, or the one who hid her light, or the one who apologized for taking up space. That version of you is not imaginary. It's prophetic, but it cannot emerge while you stay in survival mode. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." You know that verse. You've heard it before. But today, let it anchor you. Let it call you forward. Because God isn't just offering a better day, He's offering a higher dimension. A way of living where you don't just survive attacks, but command peace. Where you don't just get by, you blaze trails. But the requirement is this: don't settle. Don't settle for the lesser version of you that fear built. Don't settle for environments that mute your roar. Don't settle for patterns that keep you numb. Don't settle for connections that feel familiar but cost you your future. You've carried too much oil. You've survived too much hell. You've wept too many nights to stop here. Let this be the moment where you rise not by force, but by faith. Let this be the moment where your decision shifts the direction of generations. This is the sound of chains breaking not just off your life, but off the lives connected to your obedience. The enemy doesn't fear your shout, he fears your surrender. So step out. Let go of what's holding you. You will not drown. You will not fail. You will not break. God is with you. And the moment you decide to obey, heaven backs your every move. Comment: 444. Let that number be your declaration. 444. A prophetic symbol of open doors, divine order, and foundation. You are not moving alone. God has gone before you. What lies ahead is not chaos, it's covenant. It's time to step into alignment, because heaven is waiting on your move. Chosen one, delay is not denial. That lingering ache in your soul, the endless waiting, the dreams deferred, none of it means God said no. It simply means He is preparing the stage, the hearts, the environment, the alignment. Heaven's delay is always divine. Not 1 second of your waiting has been wasted. You've questioned the silence. You've questioned the detours. You've asked, Lord, did I miss it? But what if I told you you haven't missed a thing? What if I told you the very thing you thought was a detour was actually the direct route? Delay is not a punishment. It's a classroom. And while the waiting may have wounded your hope, it also sharpened your discernment. You've learned to listen differently in the dark. You've learned how to hold on to promises when evidence is nowhere to be found. That's not weakness. That's maturity. That's faith. There are things God must do behind the scenes before He brings you center stage. Sometimes the promise can't arrive until the people tied to it are ready. Sometimes the ground must be cleared before the seed can bear fruit. Sometimes you needed time to unlearn the lies, to heal what trauma twisted, to break patterns that would have sabotaged the blessing. Habakkuk 2:3 reminds us, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay. It will surely come." Those words are not poetic, they are prophetic. Heaven's timeline is not subject to earthly pressure. While the world rushes, God roots, and what is rooted deeply will not be easily shaken. Every closed door you've encountered was God's mercy in disguise. Because to be exposed prematurely is a type of death. He wasn't just preparing the promise, He was preparing you to sustain it. The weight of your calling demands a certain level of internal infrastructure, and now that foundation is nearly complete. You felt it recently, this holy tension, like something is shifting under the surface. You can't explain it, but you know the air has changed. That's because you're on the edge of divine release. What you've been praying for, fasting for, weeping over, it's no longer in the distance. It's knocking at the door of now. But in this final stretch, your posture matters. You must remain surrendered, because the enemy will tempt you to settle for imitation blessings. Things that look like the promise, but lack the God-breathed substance. Be wise. Discern the difference between what's sent and what's simply allowed. When the real thing comes, There will be peace even in pressure. There will be confirmation even in chaos. God does not send confusion to accompany his covenant. Remember the Israelites, how they wandered 40 years for what should have taken days. Not because God was slow, but because their obedience was. Don't let doubt and disobedience delay what's already been prepared for you. This is your appointed time. Don't waste it, second-guessing the process. James 1:4 says, "Let patience finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Delay has been the hammer in the hand of heaven, shaping your patience, molding your heart, removing the weights you cannot carry into the next season. You didn't fail. You've been formed. Even the moments you thought you wasted, God is redeeming. Even the years lost to cycles and compromise, he is restoring. His mercy does not keep score like man. His grace is not fragile. It can hold you even when you let go. Let this truth settle in your soul. The wait has not been a waste. It's been a witness to your faith. You stayed. You believed. You trusted, even with trembling hands. And heaven honors that. So stand, not in impatience, but in holy expectation, because when God moves, he makes up for lost time. One divine moment can collapse years of delay into instant manifestation. Not because you earned it, but because you endured. The vision still lives. The word still stands. The promise is still on the way. Chosen one. The silence wasn't abandonment. It was instruction in disguise. It's in the quiet places where prayers seem to echo into nothingness that the deepest spiritual surgeries happen. You may have thought God went silent. But what if his silence was a response deeper than words? What if he was answering you in transformation rather than conversation? The silence was never empty. It was full of unseen activity, full of angels on assignment, full of divine recalibration, full of hidden strength being poured into you without your knowledge. Because when heaven goes quiet, it's not passive, it's precise. Many people cannot survive the silence. They panic. They run back to what's familiar. They demand signs, noises, validations. But not you. You stayed. You endured the quiet. You didn't hear a shout from the sky, but your spirit kept whispering, "Keep going." That alone set you apart. You've passed the test of noise, and now you're being entrusted with revelation. You see, God does not shout over chaos. He speaks in stillness. It's in the stillness where vision clears. It's in the quiet where your heart is uncluttered enough to actually hear. The noise of the world may have stopped, but your inner altar began to burn brighter. Job 33:14 says, "For God does speak now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. He has been speaking. Chosen one, just not in the way you expected. His voice has been in the closed doors, in the restless nights, in the feeling that something was shifting beneath the surface. Even when nothing made sense around you, you wanted explanations. He gave you refinement. You asked for answers. He gave you character. You begged for clarity. He gave you fire. This is the mystery of spiritual growth. It rarely looks like growth at all. It feels more like breaking, like aching, like waiting with no visible reward. But now that you look back, can't you see it? You are not the same. Something changed in you. The silence was not static. It was sanctifying. There were moments you almost walked away, not because you stopped loving God, but because the silence began to feel like exile. You thought, surely I've done something wrong. Surely heaven has gone deaf. But no, chosen one. Heaven wasn't deaf. Heaven was deliberate. You weren't being punished. You were being promoted. Because silence is where prophets are formed. Silence is where warriors are seasoned. Silence is where trust goes from concept to reality. It's one thing to believe God when the signs are obvious. It's another to believe when nothing around you affirms the promise. That is true faith. And you walked in it. And because you did, you are now walking in a new realm of discernment. You hear things others miss. You perceive shifts before they manifest. You feel atmospheres before they speak. That sensitivity is not weakness, it's warfare awareness. It means you're no longer operating on the surface. You've been trained to move in the spirit. 1 Kings 19:12 reminds us of how Elijah heard God. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. That still small voice has become your guide. Not your emotions, not external confirmation, but the whisper of the Holy Spirit that teaches you to lean in, to slow down, to pause when everyone else is rushing. The silence taught you stillness, not stagnation, stillness. The ability to wait without worrying, to listen without demanding, to trust even when you can't trace. That stillness is now your superpower. It is the place where divine instructions are heard with clarity. And this is what the silence also accomplished. It separated you. It cut ties with the noise of cultural Christianity. It removed the need for crowd approval. It severed the idol of instant gratification. You don't need the same affirmations you once did. You don't crave attention like before. You've been weaned off applause and nurtured on obedience. Now, you measure progress by presence, not popularity. You became a remnant in the silence. The silence took your song and made it a sword. The silence stripped your comfort and built conviction. The silence taught your hands how to war in the spirit. This is why the enemy fights those who dwell in hiddenness. Because when you've been refined by quiet fire, you emerge unshakable. You no longer move by emotion, you move by command. And hell fears nothing more than a person who moves in, step with heaven. Now that the silence is lifting, you'll notice something else. The same people who forgot you during your quiet season will suddenly begin to remember. Invitations will come. Opportunities will knock. But be wise. Not everything knocking is divine. You must now steward your visibility with the same sobriety you stewarded your silence. Because not everyone who shows up after the silence deserves access. What you've learned in secret is sacred. Protect it. Guard it. Do not let your thirst for visibility cheapen the wisdom you paid for with suffering. Let the oil from your hiddenness flow on God's terms, not man's agenda. This is the time to walk carefully, boldly, wisely, because what God is about to do through you came at a price. It cost you tears, trust, and time. But now, heaven is about to redeem every second of that quiet suffering. The silence ends not because you demanded it, but because you're ready. Chosen one. Your presence is disruptive, not because you seek attention, but because you carry an atmosphere-shifting anointing. You don't even have to speak when you walk into a room. Something shifts. The spiritual climate adjusts. The darkness trembles. The unseen recognizes the light you carry, and that's why you've often felt out of place, misunderstood, too intense, too sensitive, too much. Because the world is uncomfortable around someone who hasn't been dulled by compromise. You were never meant to blend in. You were designed to break through. Even from a young age, you noticed it. You saw what others ignored. You felt things others brushed off. You knew right from wrong instinctively, not just because you were taught, but because you were marked. Your spiritual radar has always been tuned differently, and that is no accident. The truth is, you are a disruptor. You carry revelation, not just for yourself, but for regions. Your very existence interrupts cycles. That's why certain rooms resisted you. Your presence exposed the apathy. That's why certain people pulled away. Your spirit convicted theirs. That's why the enemy has been relentless, because your fire is contagious. Luke 10:19 reminds us, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. Let that sink in. Your authority is not borrowed, it's inherited. You walk with the full backing of heaven, not timidly, not apologetically. You are not just protected, you are empowered. This is why your process has felt so intense, because you were never just being delivered, you were being deployed. And now, you are being positioned for purpose. This next chapter is not just about fulfillment, it's about impact. You are not stepping into small places. You are being called into environments that have been locked until your obedience opens them. There are assignments waiting on your voice. Demonic structures that will only break when you speak what heaven is telling you. So, don't shrink. Don't dim. Don't pretend you're not ready. You've been through too much. Learned too deeply. Waited too long to go quiet now. This is your hour to rise, not for attention, but for alignment. The world doesn't need more echo chambers. It needs voices that carry weight. Yours is one of them. The enemy hoped you would question yourself so long that you'd never speak, but he underestimated your resilience. He didn't account for your yes, quiet but immovable. He didn't anticipate that your brokenness would become boldness. And now, you're beginning to see what hell feared all along. The rise of a disruptor who knows their authority. Your discernment is sharp now. Your ears are tuned. Your words are heavy with revelation. You don't prophesy trends, you release truth. You don't just react, you reform. And that's what makes you different. But difference is costly. It cost you relationships. It cost you opportunities. It cost you normalcy. But what it gave you is far greater heaven's trust. And that is priceless. Not everyone can walk in what you walk in. Not everyone is willing to pay the price you've paid. That's why not everyone understands your depth. And that's okay. You weren't sent to be understood. You were sent to ignite. Romans 3:12 says, "The night is nearly over, the day is almost here. So let us put aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light." You've worn that armor in private. Now you'll wear it in public. You've battled in silence. Now you'll speak in strength. And when you do, chains will break, not just yours, but others. Because that's the mark of a disruptor. You don't just get free, you set territories free. Your light is not small. It's not common. It's not convenient. It's consecrated. So protect it. Steward it. Don't explain it. Just walk in it. And let the results speak for themselves. Comment: fire disrupt darkness. Say it with boldness. That fire in you was placed there to disrupt every pattern of fear, every system of control, every lie of the enemy. You are not timid. You are not lost. You are heaven's strategy, and your voice will be heard. Chosen one, the truth you carry has made you outgrow what once held you. That's why the places you used to feel at home now feel small. That's why the conversations you used to engage in now feel hollow. That's why the environments that once celebrated you now seem to suffocate you. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You've outgrown the old wineskin, not because you're better than those around you, but because what's inside you demands more room. God has been stretching your spirit for a new dimension, a higher frequency, a deeper impact. And when your spirit expands, the shell it once fit into starts to crack. Luke 5:37 reminds us, "And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the new wine will burst the skins, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined." God is doing something new, and the new will not fit into the old habits, the old rhythms, the old thinking patterns. They cannot hold what's about to pour into your life. This is not a season of comfort, it's a season of consecration, a season where heaven is calling you to higher ground. The air is thinner here, but the vision is clearer. You can feel it. The urge to shrink has lost its grip. The desire to blend in has lost its flavor. You know now that you weren't created to maintain, you were created to multiply. You weren't made to mimic, you were made to manifest. The revelation burning in you isn't just for you. It's for everyone assigned to your voice, your obedience, your impact. But here's the challenge. Growth demands grief. To rise, you must release. To carry the mantle, you must unclench the memories. There are some places you can no longer go. Some people you must now love from a distance. Some versions of yourself that must be buried so the real you can rise. Don't mourn what's meant to be removed. Don't chase what God has cut off. It's not rejection, it's redirection. The weight of the next season will require new strength, and God, in His mercy, is clearing your path. He's pruning not to punish, but to prepare. He's simplifying your circle to intensify your focus. He's removing distractions that wore disguises as opportunities. Isaiah 43:18-19 says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" The new thing is not always flashy. Sometimes it starts with a whisper, a nudge, a slow but undeniable shift in your heart. You're no longer content with shallow waters. You want depth. You're no longer impressed by noise. You want substance. And that craving is evidence that you've evolved. But new vine requires new stewardship. It requires wisdom. That's why you must guard your focus. The enemy doesn't have to destroy you. He just has to distract you. He'll offer you the applause of people to keep you from the approval of God. He'll bait you with opportunities that feed your ego but starve your anointing. Be vigilant. Be discerning. You are carrying too much glory to trade it for temporary gain. In this next stretch, obedience will be your currency. Discernment will be your compass. Integrity will be your shield. And intimacy with God will be your source. Don't be afraid to walk alone. For what God is building through you, the crowd is not required. Some of the greatest elevations begin in isolation. Ask Joseph. Ask David. Ask Jesus. Your quiet yes is shaking things in the spirit that public noise never could. And if this word is stirring your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Take a moment to like and share this message. Someone else needs this truth as urgently as you did. This isn't just content, it's confirmation. It's fuel for the ones on the edge of giving up. It's a spark for the ones called to rise again. If you haven't already, subscribe so you remain connected to the flow of prophetic insight and divine truth released here. Stay anchored in a space where your growth is nurtured, your spirit is sharpened, and your calling is confirmed. Many of you have asked how to go further, how to sow, how to support, how to help carry this message to more people. If you feel led, your generosity helps keep this space alive and impactful. Every gift, every offering poured into this soil is fueling a movement that is setting hearts on fire around the world. But above all, this is what matters. Keep growing. Keep moving. Keep shedding the old wineskins. Your capacity is expanding. Your vision is maturing. Your spirit is awakening. And what's coming is too big for small thinking. You were never called to fit in the frame others built for you. You were called to build altars in places others feared to go. So build, dream, speak, move, grow. Let the old fall away, and let the new arise. You've outgrown who you were. Now walk fully into who God says you are. Chosen one. Heaven is moving, and with it, the verdict over your life is being reversed. The same situations that once accused you, diminished you, and tried to define you in failure are now becoming the stage for your divine vindication. God is reversing the verdict, not just spiritually, but publicly. There are things that were spoken over your name, decisions made behind your back, accusations that followed you into rooms you never entered, and yet, even in the shadows, you remained faithful. Even when it felt like the world's opinion outweighed God's promise, you clung to the truth, buried deep in your spirit. This isn't the end. Psalm 37:6 says, "He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun." Vindication isn't about vengeance. It's not about proving your enemies wrong. It's about God proving himself faithful. It's about him lifting what man tried to bury. It's about his justice breaking the cycles that tried to keep you caged. You were never forgotten. He saw the tears you cried when you were misjudged. He felt the pain when others walked away without explanation. He heard the whispers that tried to rewrite your character. And while you may not have had the words to defend yourself, heaven was already writing your defense. There are times when God remains silent, not because he's indifferent, but because he's setting the scene for glory. He allows false narratives to play out just long enough so that when he moves, it's unmistakable. So that when he lifts you, no one can say it was coincidence. So that when the reversal comes, it carries undeniable proof of divine intervention. The one who was counted out is being counted on. The one who was rejected is becoming the cornerstone. The one who was forgotten is being remembered in heavenly rooms. This is a divine reversal. The very pit that was dug for you is about to become the place where your enemies watch you rise. Not because of pride, but because of providence. You didn't climb your way out. You surrendered. And that surrender summoned a breakthrough no human strategy could have orchestrated. Genesis 50:20 echoes this reality. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. What was meant to break you is now the very thing God is using to build a platform of purpose. The betrayal that left you bleeding is becoming your breakthrough's foundation. The pain you couldn't make sense of is now birthing clarity and calling. But here's the deeper truth. This reversal isn't just circumstantial. It's spiritual. God is reversing internal verdicts too. The ones you wrote over yourself, the lies you agreed with in the dark, the self-condemnation that wrapped itself around your identity, the inner vows you made in pain. I'll never trust again. I'll never dream again. I'll never try again. Heaven is breaking those contracts. They do not define you. They never did. This reversal is about alignment. Heaven is bringing everything into divine order. Even your past is being rewritten in purpose. The things you wished you could forget are being transformed into tools, scars into scrolls, ashes into authority. You'll begin to see it soon. Places where the doors once slammed shut, now swinging open. Conversations shifting in your favor. People who once opposed you now speaking your name in rooms of opportunity. Not because they changed, but because God changed the atmosphere. The season of hiding has passed. The season of humiliation is over. The season of delay has met its end. Now comes justice. Now comes restoration. Now comes the divine flip. But don't let vindication poison your heart with pride. Let it root you deeper in humility. Because what God is about to do will require character to sustain. The elevation that comes by spirit must be carried by surrender, not ego. So walk humbly, but walk boldly, because you know what it cost. You know what it took to survive those seasons. You know what it felt like to pray with cracked lips and a crushed spirit, believing in a God who stayed silent but never absent. And now that He's moving, you'll see that not one moment of your faithfulness went unnoticed. This is the great reversal. Heaven's yes over you will silence every earthly no. And what's been waiting to manifest is now being released, not in part, but in fullness, not in delay, but in divine speed. He's reversing the verdict and rewriting your story. Chosen one. You are one obedience away from everything shifting. One simple, costly, holy yes to God can unlock what years of striving could not. Your destiny does not hinge on perfection, it hinges on obedience. Not delayed, hesitant obedience, but instant, surrendered obedience. We often imagine that breakthrough comes through massive acts of power, but in the kingdom, it is the quiet, unseen decisions, the ones made in hidden places, that change everything. The Spirit of God isn't waiting for a performance. He's waiting for a response. It's not your skill that qualifies you. It's your surrender. In Genesis 12, God told Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." He didn't give Abram a map. He didn't lay out a 5-year plan. He gave him a simple word and required immediate trust. And that one act of obedience unlocked a covenant that would shape generations. You've been wrestling with uncertainty, standing at the edge of a spiritual cliff, asking, "God, is this really you? Should I step out?" But hear this now. You already know. Deep in your spirit, you've sensed the pull, the urge to move, release, transition, obey, even without all the details. You don't need another confirmation. You need courage. Courage to let go of what's familiar. Courage to say no to what numbs your spirit. Courage to walk away from what's draining your destiny. Courage to move with God. Even when your surroundings make no sense, you are not being called to understand, you're being called to follow. And yes, obedience will cost you, but disobedience will cost you more. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. You cannot delay heaven's instruction and expect to reap heaven's reward. The window you're standing in is not eternal, it is appointed, and appointments missed can be costly. James 1:22. says, "Do not merely listen to the word, and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says." That doing is where everything changes. You can fast, pray, read, listen, but if you refuse to move when he speaks, you will stay stuck in cycles that obedience was always meant to break. This next level won't be accessed by another prophecy. It will be accessed by response, by taking the step even while shaking, by trusting him beyond your feelings, by surrendering your plan for his will. This is where maturity meets faith. The truth is, obedience often feels like loss before it feels like gain. It may look like letting go of control, influence, comfort, but that loss is the path to power. The road to authority is paved in obedience. You cannot carry glory if you're still clinging to convenience. God is asking for your yes again, not just in word, but in action. And with that yes comes access, favor, peace, clarity, alignment. What you thought was impossible becomes inevitable when you align with heaven's voice. He's not asking for a perfect yes. He's asking for a present one. You've come too far to hesitate now. Too much has been poured into you. Too many promises are hovering above your head, waiting for activation. They're not denied, they're simply dormant, waiting for your obedience to unlock them. And when you obey, truly obey, everything shifts. Cycle break. Doors open. Clarity returns. Peace floods. Authority sharpens. Legacy begins. You are not just obeying for your sake. You're obeying for your bloodline, for the generations you'll never meet, for the people your voice will reach. Your yes is not just a move, it's a move of God. You already feel it. That edge you're standing on, it's not a cliff, it's a launch pad. Your spirit knows it. Heaven is hovering. All that's left is your response. Comment 111. This number is prophetic. It represents divine alignment, forward motion, and spiritual clarity. When you type it, let it be more than a number. Let it be your answer, your agreement, your yes. Lord, let it echo in the spirit that you heard, and you will obey. Chosen one, mercy is still in motion. Even now, when you thought it was too late, when you feared you had missed too many chances, when the weight of your past seemed too heavy to bear, mercy is stretching out its hand toward you. It has not expired. It has not withdrawn. It is still flowing. You've heard the whispers of condemnation in your mind, telling you that you've failed too deeply, wandered too far, compromised too much. But those voices are not from heaven. They are from the pit of hell, designed to paralyze, to silence, to shame. But shame is not your portion. Mercy is. Lamentations 3, 22, 23, declares, "Because of the Lord's great love we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." Every morning you wake is proof that mercy is active, that grace still has you on heaven's calendar, that God hasn't changed his mind about you. Even in the detour, the delay, the disobedience, his mercy has covered and kept you. You may feel like you've disqualified yourself, but God is not looking at your performance, he's looking at your heart. You may have lost time, but you haven't lost access. He restores the years the locusts have eaten. He brings rivers to dry places. And where you see ruins, he sees a future. The mercy of God is not a soft, passive thing. It is fierce. It is bold. It interrupts judgment. It cancels debt. It pushes back darkness. It stands between you and the consequences you rightfully earned and says, "Not yet. I'm not finished with them." There were moments you should have been broken, but mercy stood. There were choices that could have wrecked your future, but mercy intervened. There were paths that would have ended in destruction, but mercy rerouted your steps. And yet, mercy is not something to take lightly. While it flows freely, it does not flow forever. The window of grace is open now, but it will not stay open indefinitely. There is an urgency in this moment. Heaven is whispering, "Come home. Return. Obey." Hebrews 10:26-27 offers a sobering warning. If we deliberately keep on sinning after we have received the knowledge of the truth, no sacrifice for sins is left, but only a fearful expectation of judgment. That is not fear, it is truth. Mercy does not excuse rebellion. It covers the repentant, not the arrogant. It shelters the surrendered, not the stubborn. And you, chosen one, know too much to pretend ignorance. You've tasted the Spirit. You've seen glimpses of the glory. You've heard the voice in the secret place. You cannot unknow what you know. This is not the time to play with grace. This is the time to run back into the fire of holiness, to let mercy not just cover you, but transform you. God's mercy is not a permission slip to stay in sin. It's the empowerment to break free. It's the door through which conviction leads to restoration. And the fact that you still feel the tug, that your heart still softens when He calls, is the proof that mercy is not done with you. You may not get everything back. Some relationships won't return. Some chapters have closed. But what God restores will be more than what you lost. It will be weightier, deeper, purer. It will be from Him, not fabricated by flesh. Don't confuse mercy with delay. Just because judgment didn't come immediately doesn't mean it never will. The Spirit has been pleading. The signs have been appearing. And even now, this message is one more evidence that heaven hasn't turned its back on you. But this could be the last call before the shift. Not because God is cruel, but because time is real. Eternity is near, and every heartbeat is a countdown. You don't have to live in fear, but you do need to live in awareness. The door of mercy is open. Walk through it while you still can. And when you do, when you return, when you obey, when you surrender again, what will meet you is not punishment, but embrace. Not shame, but joy. Not anger, but arms open wide. Mercy always leads you back to the Father, and the Father has been waiting. Chosen one, what you carry cannot be contained. There is something holy woven into the fibers of your being that refuses to shrink, refuses to stay quiet, refuses to remain hidden. You are not just a vessel, you are a carrier of divine fire. And that fire was never meant to stay caged. From the beginning, there has been something different about you. You didn't fit the molds. You didn't walk the same path as others. You asked questions no one else seemed to be asking. You felt deeply, saw clearly, and sensed the weight of unseen things. You've tried to explain it away, to dim it down, to tuck it under a more acceptable version of yourself. But no more. What's in you won't let you settle for shallow spaces. Jeremiah 20:9 captures this feeling well. But if I say, I will not mention His word or speak any more in His name, His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot. You cannot hold this back. The fire is rising. The mantle on your life is too potent to be pacified by comfort or diluted by compromise. You are not just meant to carry it, you are meant to release it. But this weight, this oil, this anointing, it demands capacity. It requires space. And that's why God has been stretching you, not to break you, but to make room for the more He's about to pour in. The tension you've felt lately, the pull between where you are and where you're going, is the pressure of expansion. God is not just blessing you, He's building you. He's making your spirit strong enough to carry the influence, the revelation, the warfare that will come with this next season. What you carry is going to unlock others. You're not being prepared for influence, you're being prepared for impact. There are people tied to your obedience, people who will never find their way unless your voice echoes in the place where you've been called. And those people are waiting, not for your perfection, but for your presence, not for your credentials, but for your courage. You cannot underestimate the weight of what's inside you. It's not common. It's not light. It's not optional. It's heaven-born. And because of that, it must be stewarded with honor. You must protect it from spaces that trivialize your depth, from conversations that pollute your clarity, from relationships that dilute your discernment. You are not prideful for guarding what is sacred. You are being obedient. The enemy has tried to convince you that you're too much, that your fire is inconvenient, that your discernment is divisive. But the truth is, your fire is uncomfortable because it exposes what's cold. Your discernment is disruptive because it breaks demonic patterns. Your presence convicts because it carries purity. Don't apologize for it. Don't explain it. Don't downplay it to make others feel safe. You are a torchbearer. And torches aren't meant to be dimmed, they are meant to ignite. Isaiah 60:1 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." You were not made to carry average dreams. Your thoughts have always reached higher. Your vision has always pressed further. Even when your resources didn't match, your faith did. And now that faith is forming the foundation for a new structure, something heaven-breathed and hell-resistant. But understand this. What you carry is not just for the pulpit. It's not confined to religious spaces. This fire is meant to invade business, education, media, family. Whatever domain you're placed in, you're the fire starter. You're the one who shifts the culture, not conforms to it. So walk into rooms like they were made for you, because they were. Not with arrogance, but with awareness. You carry something that cannot be bought, cannot be earned, cannot be mimicked. It's divine, and that divine thing inside you will not let you rest until it's released. Don't be surprised when your prayers become burdens, when your dreams turn into blueprints, when your visions start to demand manifestation. That's the weight of the mantle making itself known. You are not just dreaming, you're receiving divine assignments. So prepare yourself. You're not waiting on permission anymore. You've been authorized by heaven. Chosen one. The earth is groaning for you. Not in metaphor, but in spiritual truth. Creation itself is in travail, waiting for the emergence of those marked by God, those who will walk not in imitation, but in authority. You are not just one among many. You are one sent for a purpose. Romans 8:19 declares, "For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed." This means you, your voice, your obedience, your very existence carries prophetic impact. There are places waiting to awaken until your feet arrive. There are lives in pause mode until your assignment activates. The earth isn't just waiting for someone, it's waiting for you. And that's why the battle has been so severe. That's why the enemy tried to crush your identity before it could mature. Because if he could keep you confused about who you are, he could delay the transformation you're meant to carry. But now the veil is lifting. The fog is clearing. You are beginning to see the weight of your calling. You were never ordinary. And that's not a pride statement, it's a responsibility statement. You are the answer to someone's secret prayer. You are the light in someone's generational darkness. You are the signpost for someone standing at the edge of despair. And as heaven reveals this, you must rise into it, not with hesitation, but with holy boldness. You were never created to watch from the sidelines. You were born to take territory not just physically, but spiritually. Territory in the minds of those trapped in confusion. Territory in the hearts of those crushed by shame. Territory in the lives of those stuck in cycles you've been called to interrupt. You are not stepping into this season for applause. You are stepping into it for alignment. Heaven has already written your role. It's time to step into it with full weight, full truth, and full awareness. 1 Corinthians 4:20 says, "For the kingdom of God is not a matter of talk, but of power." You've talked, you've dreamed, you've envisioned, but now it's time for demonstration. And here's the truth. Your obedience doesn't just shift atmospheres, it teaches others how to respond to heaven. When you say yes, it gives others permission to do the same. You become a living altar, a walking example of what it means to obey even when it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, or misunderstood. You've been wondering why your life seems heavier, more pressed, more spiritual than others around you. It's because you're marked to carry more. There's a divine imprint on you, and it provokes spiritual weight. The warfare wasn't about what you've done, it's about who you are becoming. And now, the shift is here. You're no longer just surviving your story, you're beginning to lead from it. But the mission is bigger than one moment. That's why we continue to pour out these messages, because this isn't just content, it's commissioning. If this word has stirred your spirit, if you feel the fire rising again, then I invite you to like and share this message. Don't underestimate the reach of your simple click. It may be the very thing that delivers a breakthrough to someone on the brink. And if this message has been your manna, your confirmation, your spiritual realignment, stay connected. Subscribe to remain a part of this movement of truth, power, and prophetic fire. There is more coming, and the Spirit is not finished speaking to you. Many of you ask how you can help spread this sound of awakening. If you feel led, consider sowing into this work. Your generosity sustains the message, fuels the mission, and ensures others around the world can access these revelations without barrier, not out of pressure, but out of partnership. When you pour into what feeds your spirit, the anointing flows both ways. But above all, let this truth settle in your heart. You are the one creation is groaning for. You are the reformer, the remnant, the one who said yes when others said no. You don't have to be perfect. Just present, just available, just obedient. Because when you move, heaven moves with you. And when heaven moves, nothing stays the same. Because when you move, heaven moves with you. And when heaven moves, nothing stays the same. Type, "It starts with me." Just 4 words, but they declare your alignment with heaven's timing. If you know this moment is for you, if something deep in your spirit is shifting, then put it in writing. not for the algorithm, but for the atmosphere. Let it echo that you're stepping forward fully, fearlessly. Finally, chosen one. This is the fork in the road. Not just a symbolic moment. This is a defining one. Everything that's been stirring in your spirit, all the signs, all the confirmations, all the unrest with where you've been, it's all led to this exact point. You are standing at the edge of a spiritual divide. What you choose next changes everything. There are moments in life that feel ordinary, but are actually loaded with eternal weight. This is one of them. This is not the time to wander in circles. This is not the time to second-guess the pull you feel in your soul. The path ahead may be unfamiliar, but it has been carved by heaven's hand, and you've outgrown the land of indecision. You can sense it. One step to the left leads back into comfort, delay, and spiritual dullness. One step to the right leads into the unknown. Yes, but also into promise, power, and profound alignment with God's will. You're not choosing between good and bad. You're choosing between the familiar and the faith-filled. Deuteronomy 30:19 captures this sacred crossroads. I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. God doesn't force your feet, but He does make the options clear. The direction He's pulling you toward is not just better, it's life-giving, it's restoration, it's legacy, but it will cost you everything safe. The decision in front of you requires risk. It requires loss. It may even require letting go of identities you've grown comfortable wearing. The question is no longer, do you hear Him? The question now is, will you follow? This moment is the parting of seas, the lifting of veils, the invitation to choose destiny over delay. You are not being asked to strive just a step. That first step is where the heavens align and resources begin to chase your obedience. Not because you demanded them, but because you aligned with divine flow. But let's be honest, obedience at this level is not painless. It may mean walking away from environments where you've always been celebrated. It may mean laying down dreams you once prayed for, because God is calling you into greater. It may mean losing the approval of people to gain the favor of heaven. But what is waiting on the other side is more than enough to make the cost feel light in hindsight. This is not the season to drag your feet. You have been warned, affirmed, and confirmed. And now heaven waits on one thing, your decision. There is no more room for delay dressed up as discernment. No more time for procrastination disguised as prayer. This is the hour to choose. This fork in the road is not just for your future. It's for those connected to your legacy. You're not the only one affected by what happens here. Your children, your bloodline, your spiritual lineage, all of it is impacted by what you decide in this moment. You may never get this window again in this form. Isaiah 55:6 reminds us, seek the Lord while He may be found, call on Him while He is near. He is near now, tangibly, pressingly, and what you do in response is your act of worship. It's your reply to the divine whisper that's been getting louder by the day. The enemy will try to distract you with logic, with comfort, with familiar bondage. He'll whisper 1,000 reasons to stay in the cycle. He'll convince you to wait, to stall, to overthink. But you already know you can't stay here. This isn't just another week, another word, another phase. This is your turning point. The door won't be forced open. It waits for your yes. So choose, fully, finally, without compromise. And when you do, You'll look back on this moment not with fear, but with gratitude, because you'll see it for what it truly was, not a threat, but a threshold. The beginning of everything God ever intended to release through your life. Chosen one. All of it. Every tear. Every battle. Every quiet act of obedience has been leading to this. You have been forged by fire and prepared for glory. You are not the same as you were. What once threatened to crush you has only revealed your unbreakable core. You have passed through the flood, walked through the fire, and come out marked not by trauma, but by testimony. There is a crown over your life, not one made by human hands, not adorned by applause, but fashioned in the unseen places, pressed together with intercession, sanctified by suffering. This crown is not given to the swift, nor the talented. It is given to those who endure, those who remain, those who obey. Timothy 7:8 says, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness. That's you. You didn't quit, though it would have been easier. You didn't abandon your post, even when it felt like no one saw you. You held on. You held heaven's hand in silence. And now, heaven is placing something on your head that no man can take. Glory is rising over your life, not the superficial kind, but the radiant kind. Glory that follows the crushing. Glory that shines because you were willing to be hidden, broken, refined. The world will not understand it. It's not loud, but it's undeniable. People will ask, what changed? And you won't point to an event. You'll point to a process. You were not made in the public eye. You were made in private surrender. That's what this crown represents. Every time you said yes in secret, every time you forgave instead of retaliated, every time you chose obedience when compromise would have been easier. This crown is not just reward, it's recognition. Heaven sees what people miss. Heaven celebrates what the world ignores. You weren't aiming to be elevated. You were just trying to be faithful. And that's what made you ready. Heaven doesn't promote ambition. It promotes alignment. And your alignment has opened the way. This is your commissioning. You've been tested. You've been proven. And now you're being released. Not to be busy, but to be fruitful. Not to be visible, but to be impactful. You're not stepping into hype. You're stepping into holy ground. This moment does not mark the end of your journey. It marks the beginning of your release. Release into influence that is rooted in humility. Release into authority that is sustained by prayer. Release into vision that is born from obedience. But remember, the crown comes with a call. The call to walk differently, to lead with integrity, to guard what is sacred. Because this glory is not for display, it's for dominion. It's not a decoration, it's a declaration that God finishes what He starts. Revelation 3:11 warns, hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. This is not about fear. It's about vigilance. You have been entrusted with weight, and with that trust comes responsibility to remain yielded, pure, consecrated, not out of legalism, but out of love. You've come through fire, not to flaunt your survival, but to shine with the kind of light that can only come from holy surrender. There are others coming behind you who will need what you now carry. The oil of wisdom, the patience of process, the fire of intimacy. You are not just stepping into a new chapter, you are becoming a door for others. You carry breakthrough in your voice now. You carry strategy in your prayers. You carry presence in your stillness. None of it was wasted. Not the years of silence. Not the lonely nights. Not the misunderstood sacrifices. It all counted. It all built you. It all sealed your identity. There is a weight to your walk now, a depth to your words, a sharpness to your discernment. You are no longer guessing, you are moving in revelation. And this movement is not powered by ambition. It's powered by surrender. Let that surrender remain. Let it guide your footsteps. Temper your emotions. Discipline your days. Because what's ahead of you is greater than what's behind. And while the world may only now be waking up to who you are, heaven has known all along. God doesn't crown perfection. He crowns serenity. And He is crowning you now, not with a burden, but with authority. Not with titles, but with trust. You are crowned for glory, forged by fire, trusted by heaven, anointed for now. You're not broken. You're burning, not undone. You've just begun. Let every past failure fall silent. Let every past delay be swallowed in divine timing. Let every whisper of doubt be drowned in the sound of your purpose, thundering forward. This is your hour. Chosen one. You were born for this. The fire that refined you will now light the path for others. The wilderness that shaped you will now be your wisdom. The pain you survived has become power in your hands. And the glory rising over your life is not borrowed, it's branded. You didn't seek a crown, but one was always being formed for you. Not because you were loud, but because you were faithful. Not because you were flawless, but because you were willing. Not because you were strong, but because you refused to let go. Heaven has always known your name. Now the earth will too, not for your sake, but for His. Because a life yielded is a life unstoppable. And yours has only just begun. If your spirit has been stirred by this message, don't let the moment pass quietly. You've just completed a divine journey, one that wasn't written just to inspire, but to activate. These words were not crafted for entertainment. They were forged for your equipping. You didn't reach the end of a script. You arrived at the edge of a new beginning. If this message has confirmed what you've been hearing in secret, if it's spoken directly to your hidden battles, if it's reminded you that you are, indeed, God's chosen one, then don't keep it to yourself. Like and share this message so others can receive what you just did. You never know who's on the edge of quitting, waiting for a word just like this. If you haven't already, subscribe so you never miss what heaven is releasing next. This space exists to echo God's voice in the earth, and staying connected keeps you aligned with what the Spirit is doing now. And for those who've asked, yes, if this message has blessed you and you feel led, you can sow into this space. Every gift helps carry this message further. Every offering keeps the oil flowing, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. As the word pours into you, your seed helps pour it into others. And if you know in your spirit this was for you, write 222 right now. This number signifies agreement, establishment, and prophetic confirmation. Let it be your final seal that you heard, you received, and you are aligned. Lastly, we want to hear from you. Share what part pierced your spirit, what line broke the silence, what truth woke you up again. Your words matter, your voice matters, and what you say might just unlock breakthrough for someone else. You are chosen, you are rising, and this is just the beginning.